LCA for the last 5 years. So I suppose I've a good bit of experience in both programs now at this stage. So I'm going to start with Transition Year. We're very lucky that we can offer this to everyone in our school. And as of 2024, the DES has come out and said that in the latest statement that it will be available to all schools as an option going forward. So that's something very, very promising. I'm going to start with an overview firstly. For anyone that's not aware about the Transition Year programme, it's a 1-year programme taken after students have completed the junior cycle and before they engage in their 2-year Leaving Certificate programme. So I suppose the word transition, which is it's moving between something. So it's designed to act as a bridge between the junior cycle programme and the Leaving Certificate programme. Within our school, it is optional for all our students. And the great thing is the Transition Year programme is designed by the school to meet the needs of our students and the interests of our students in our context. So every year, myself and Mr. Donoghue and the core team, we will sit down and discuss what's best for our classes going forward, which allows us a bit of flexibility and autonomy in what we design for our students. There are no state exams involved in Transition Year. Assessment, which is integral to the programme, is carried out on an ongoing basis, and I'll allude to that later. And it is run by a core team, which I will mention in a little while. So from the Department of Education, the TY mission statement states that to promote the personal, social, educational and vocational development of pupils and to prepare them for the role as autonomous, participative and responsible members of society. So within this year, between the junior cycle and senior certificate programme, the programme enables students to engage in new activities, to try new subjects, I suppose to let themselves push themselves outside boundaries that they might not if they didn't engage in the programme. And it allows them to become more mature, I suppose, more responsible within their own learning and more directive in their own learning. So each year after we complete the programme, students reflect on it and fill out a little evaluation form, which we'll mention at the end. And some of the statements they say really pertain to this, that they became more mature, they tried new things, they enjoy trying new things, which is really, really lovely to hear, because obviously when you push yourself outside your comfort zone, it mightn't be always the most enjoyable thing, but it's great when we get that feedback. So if you're to engage in Transition Year as a student, what are the benefits of Transition Year? So firstly, you will discover new skills and interests. If you're going to try new things, it's always going to be a little bit daunting. But by engaging in new activities and developing new skills and developing new interests, it will enable you to look at maybe a skill set you never knew you had, develop a current skill set. It enables you to become a more independent learner. There's a lot of project work within the Transition Year programme, and I suppose it's important for students that it's not always teacher directed, it can be self-directed, and it makes, I suppose, students or enables students to become more disciplined within this area, which is a very important skill to develop as you mature and maybe engage in further education. It develops confidence, which is lovely to see. Many students will say that, after they've done different things, whether it be outdoor activities or maybe like they did life skating skills, that it was something they didn't feel they could do, and afterwards they feel really confident in it. Make new friends, which is wonderful, across both classes. Gain valuable work experience, which is a very important part of the Transition Year programme, which I'll come back to later. Grow in maturity, and for some students, I suppose, when you're picking or choosing the programme, you must think about why you want to do it. Maybe you're a little bit younger than your classmates as you do the junior cycle exam, and you might be thinking, God, this year will allow me to mature and gain a little bit more insight on what I'd like to do. It allows us to value new opportunities, and it allowed us to engage in new subjects, which is something that's really, really, I suppose, enjoyable. And one of the best things about TY is trying out new things. So within our school, this is the TY programme structure. We have our senior management, our 2 deputy principals, Mr. Murphy, Miss Walsh, and our principal, Mr. O'Donoghue. I'm the TY coordinator, and the TY classes will have their year ahead. We also have a core team, which involves the teachers and different people within different roles that help me throughout the year and advise me and discuss things with me regarding the Transition Year programme and how our classes are developing. And then we have 2 TY-based classes at this moment in time, and it would be great to see the numbers grow and maybe have a 3rd class going forward. So what are the aims for TY? I suppose if we look at the words that stand out there in bold, it's a year for maturity. I suppose it allows people to become more socially aware and more socially competent. it engages in the adult working life, which is a fantastic opportunity to try out work experience, to, I suppose, get an insight on what it's like to engage in the working world and to prepare yourself for maybe a summer job and engage in different skills which will enable you to get further employment. And I suppose develop skills with an emphasis on interdisciplinary and self-directed learning, which I've already mentioned. It's not maybe like the junior cycle in some ways or the senior cycle curriculum. It is you taking ownership of your learning, trying new things and working with others, cooperating, working as teams and getting different projects done. So transition year program in our school is school-based with a focus on what the students would like and what we think they'd like. We utilise all the teachers' expertise, which is fantastic because I suppose when you're teaching junior cycle, you might be like, I'm a science teacher, so that would be my area, but there might be other things that I'm interested in and I might be able to provide classes to the students within the programme. We write our own syllabi and bring our own resources together and share across the collaborative forum. There's different teaching and learning methodologies and use, various assessments, which I'll talk about later. And at the end, you get your school-based certificate. I'm going to move in now to the subjects. And as I mentioned already, TY offers the chance to try new subjects. So we have the core subjects, which everyone will do, PE, English, Irish, and maths. They're all under tutor group and they all engage in career guidance. Then we have some leaving certificate subject sampling subjects. So we have the sciences, technical graphics, technology, art, home economics, art put in twice, sorry, music, history, geography, business enterprise, Spanish with an asterisk because some students might be able to try this within transition year, but French will be available to students to choose at senior cycle. So they might get a taster of Spanish. Then we have transition year additional opportunities. I said they're opportunities because when you get an opportunity to try something, you might not get it if you didn't engage in this. So here are some within Junk Couture is a module, some might engage in art. With podcasting, public access to law course, which is really, really insightful. And we do that through King's Inn. The Spark Ed leadership course, which we've been very fortunate to get free to us here in its Community College Gael Clash and Clore, courtesy of UL. And it's been a great course to enable the students to look at their leadership skills and develop their leadership skills. Debating with the mini company, media studies, Goshka, life skills and work experience. And I'll delve into these a little bit more there now. So a little bit more of an overview of our activities. So I kind of summarized here that there are various activities throughout the year. It's a real action-filled year. There's a lot going on. There's a lot for the students to engage in. There's a wide variety of activities to engage in, which is really important when you're, you know, we've a wide student cohort and everyone has different interests. So we've bonding trips, which enables the groups to, you know, mix together and to get to know each other because they're going to be working together in close proximity for the year. We've work experience, 3 different blocks throughout the year. Project-based learning, Ennis 2040 is a project we've been involved with for the last 2 years, and it's a fantastic project amongst the 4 second level schools in Ennis. We engage in Goshka, the Bronze Award, the President's Award. B2 Young Scientists we enter, and if we're fortunate enough, we get to go further to the finals in Dublin, but every year we go up and visit regardless. Various educational trips. We work closely with St. Vincent de Paul in a fundraising capacity and to give something back to our community. We engage volunteering and we look at green schools and climate change as part of different subjects within the programme. So I've mentioned on Goshka, the President's Award, we engage in the bronze level, which is fantastic, and students get to develop different skills in different areas over a period of 26 weeks. It's a fantastic award to achieve, and we're looking forward now in April to doing our Goshka overnight activity. So we're going to do our 25 km hike. We've work experience placements 3 times throughout the year, usually November, maybe the beginning of December, January, February for 2 weeks, and then a week in May. These work experience placements are fantastic, and it's one of the, I suppose, the really perks of TY that you get this opportunity to expose yourself to different placements and to, I suppose, have a chance to engage in something you might like to do further down the line. Guest speakers are integral to the course. Different speakers come in regarding different subjects. We engage in outdoor pursuits. We've often gone to Delphi as part of our bonding trip, and I'm reviewing that this year because there's loads of different activity centres. Paintballing, the Goshka Trek, field trips, Again, community care and volunteering is integral, and we work very closely with James and Ian and St Vincent de Paul. And over the last, I think, 5 years, we've nearly donated almost 23,000 in funds to St Vincent de Paul, and they've given back to the school. So it's a lovely partnership we have there. And we engage in sports, be them curricular or extracurricular. So there's lots for everyone. Other little things are music generation as part of music. Enterprise in the mini company, and 2 of our students from 4GC were there last week participating. Different competitions, first aid, we do a 3-day course which allows our students to have a certificate for 2 years as fully fledged first aid responders. Driver theory, there's a course available now in Galway which I'm looking into, which allows the students to get a driving lesson and look at the driver theory test. So that's something to look forward to in the future. Different things in mindfulness and well-being, charity work, barista and culinary skills, which we're very fortunate as a school within the LCETB to have this offered to us for free. It's a fantastic opportunity. Barista training, between the 2 classes, 7 students will be picked from each class. Now it's a look at the draw, but such is life. And the same with culinary skills, and they're 2 fantastic skills to be able to engage in. And then the Burn Outdoor Education Centre for the last 3 years have offered us a 3-day course for 12 students from each class to engage in further education in outdoor pursuits. So a little thing I've added this year is thinking of others. I suppose as transition year students, it's important, I feel, that the students work within the community, their local community. And as a school in Ennis, there are different organisations that work with us and help us a lot. St Vincent de Paul is probably the biggest charity to help us and for us to work with. As I said, we've raised over 23,000 for the charity, and it has offered students the opportunity to engage in work experience, volunteering, and different activities. We have some transition years working in St Vincent de Paul each Monday in sustainability programmes, which is fantastic for the environment. We also engage in the shoebox appeal to give back to different people within the community and abroad. So I suppose it's important that as students that we develop skills and we are, I suppose, aware of what's going on in the world and empathetic to what's going on in the world. I've mentioned work experience. So I'm going to talk a little bit about it because it's a very important part of the programme, and one that I feel students can really, really benefit from, in the sense that they get a feel for maybe something they have an interest in. So as I mentioned, there are 3 blocks. The first block is 1 week, the second block is for 2 weeks, and the third block is in May. We're very lucky that we have teachers that coordinate this within the programme and help the students, advise the students on work experience. The responsibility, I must emphasise, is on the student to organise their own work experience, okay? And we require that there's a different employer, if possible, for each placement. We don't feel like there's much benefit going back to the same placement all the time when you have the chance to try others. I've said here that Garda vetting may be necessary in certain workplaces. If you're over 16, that will be necessary. And I suppose the integral part of the work experience is that students get a feel for real life working environments, what it's like to work under someone, what it's like to prepare yourself for work, the accountability involved, there's responsibility, and these are skills that they can acquire and develop and bring forward into their leaving certificate studies and for further employment and education. Assessment within the programme is a little different to maybe junior cycle and senior cycle. As the DES states, it should be an integral part of the learning process in transition year and not separate from it. So we engage in different forms of assessment, primarily continuous assessment. There are some formative and summative assessments also. Students engage in, they get feedback in the Christmas report and summer report, but they also engage in a portfolio of achievement, which we're completing online this year as a Google School, which allows the students to gather together pictures, experience, certs, samples of good practice, and I suppose it enables them to reflect at the end on what they've done and to look back on all the fantastic experiences. We also engage in a small interview at the end of the year to talk about the participation and how they felt they participated and gave to the programme. And they also get awarded credits, which together enable the student to get a distinction, a merit, a pass, or no grade. So the credits are awarded on subjects, and they also take into account attendance, punctuality, or e-portfolio, and the end of year little interview. So it gives the students a chance to accumulate as many credits as possible and to aim to get the highest grade they can within the programme and to get the most out of the programme. As with anything in life, it's important that you reflect on it and you look back and see what worked well, what didn't work well, because that, I suppose, enables me to improve the program and to see how we can plan for going forward. So very, very important thing is we take on board all stakeholders within our school. So I distribute evaluation forms at the end of the program, and we look at how staff felt it went, how subject teachers felt, how students, parents and employers felt the program worked with regards to our school and our context. I really value the feedback from everyone, because it allows me to look at certain things that maybe I envisage working well, but maybe they just didn't suit our class, our students, our school. And that allows me then to go, right, what's available, what might be better to put into the timetable. And I discuss this with our core team and senior management at the end of each year. The program incurs fees throughout the year. As we know with everything, there is a cost involved, and costs have gone up. So each year I give the following, a little projected cost over the year. It's not exhaustive and prices fluctuate, and additional activities always equates to additional costs. So the bonding trip, the venue to be decided, it comes in at about $250 each year. We usually go to Delphi. I'm looking at maybe something different going forward, and I'm cognizant of the price of things and how, we could spread out the cost and maybe bring down the costs. So when I say these are $250, they're in and around. Obviously, if I can get things cheaper, that's always my primary aim. Our first aid course is fantastic value at €100. We get this at a very, very reasonable deal. And the students are fully qualified first aid responders. Our Goscar trip, we brought down the cost a lot, and we're looking at utilising County Clare instead of always having to travel to other areas. Entry to the BU to scientist is 20. And as you can see there, going up to the trip, driver theory, etc., etc. So the lits are there. Cookery ingredients, I put in at 100, but that it mightn't even come to a fraction of that, because each week you'll be bringing in your own ingredients from home. So obviously, if there's costs involved, we like to enable us parents to pay the fees in installments. So by the end of this April, if you decide to go for a place in the program and are accepted, we require a deposit of $250, because this will enable me to book the trip, because unfortunately it's impossible to book anything without paying deposits and final installments. Then the next installment would be the end of August, and the second then final installment then would be the end of January. However, that price could be much lower depending on how what activities are available. So that's just a kind of a rough estimate, and as I said, the fees can be paid online in installments on Way to Pay. Getting into the program, there are acceptance criteria taken into account. The acceptance is at the discretion of management. So if you apply to the program, we will take into account your previous attendance, your previous behaviour, and your previous application to studies. So how you engaged in your junior cycle program at first, second, and third year. This is important because transition year isn't for everyone. So it's important to kind of think about what you want to get out of it. You will only get out what you put in. And that's one thing I emphasize, and I'm probably like the students are sick to the teeth of me saying it, but there's no point in doing the program for the year if you're not willing to push yourself outside your boundaries and try new things and work with others in your class and your teachers to fulfill, I suppose, the year in the best possible way, to get the most out of the year. So to engage in applying for it, there are two classes, one in Gael Closter, one in his community college, 24 maximum in each. It is not compulsory, it's an optional year. So the applications will be available online, and Mr. Donoghue will mention that later, and they need to be submitted by next Wednesday, the 13th of March, before the end of the school day. The policy is available on the website, and the application form is also available there. So thanks so much for listening to me, and I'm going to take a second now because I'm going to be talking about LCA. So I'll let you all take a breather for a few seconds. If Mr. Donoghue needs to jump in there or say anything, now's your chance before I move on. And if you have any questions, you can type them into the box here, or I can take them at the end.
So just as Martina there is taking a breather, I'll just come back from my back garden here just to say hello again. Thank you for that very comprehensive outline on the transition year program that's offered. And throughout you heard mentions of forms and links and so on. All the forms and all links and videos and slides will be shared with you tomorrow at the email address that you provided when you registered. So all that information will go to you in due course. So Ms. McNamara,